Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. And today, we are diving headfirst into the world of starting a business.
Ooh, exciting.
It is. And, we've got a lot of ground to cover because we're looking at this book, 597 Business Ideas You Can Start From Home. So
That's a lot of
it's
ideas.
a lot of ideas. So we're obviously not going to cover all 597, but we're going to try to hit some of the highlights and some of the things that really jumped out at us as we were going through this book.
Yeah, I think the sheer volume can be a little intimidating to even think about,
Yeah.
but I like that it really starts out with don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel,
Right.
you know? Start with what.
Yeah, it's not about like coming up with the next slight bread or whatever it is.
Right.
It's about looking at yourself and your skills and what you already do and what
Mm-hmm.
you're already passionate about and say, well, how can I make money doing this?
Mm-hmm. And that's where the research comes in and
Yeah,
really, understanding like a profitable niche and your ideal customer.
right.
Really getting specific. And I think that's something the book really hammers home is you need to get really specific.
Yeah. Well, you've started businesses, you've run businesses. I mean, did you ever sit down with like a yellow legal pad and try to write out a business plan, or what was your first step when you had an idea?
Well, I think for me, the first step was always like just getting really clear on what problem I was trying to solve.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if you can't articulate that clearly, then, it's going to be really hard to convince anyone else that it's a good idea.
Yeah, you got to believe in it yourself first, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then for me, it was really about like testing the waters. Um, not going all in right away, but like doing some small experiments to see if there was actually a demand for what I was offering.
Right. And I think that's a big part of what this book is emphasizing is this whole idea of like starting from home. It's
Yeah.
like you can test the waters. You don't have to rent a storefront. You don't have to hire a staff right away. You can
Hmm.
really do a lot of this stuff on your own in the beginning.
Yeah, and I think that ties into what we were just talking about with, the changing work landscape and so many people wanting to either work remotely or freelance or just have more flexibility and control over their time.
Right.
So, these work from home businesses really kind of cater to that.
Yeah. And I think that's what I like about this book is that it really, like I said, with 597 ideas, it's pushing you to think outside the box.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think of starting a business, I think of like, oh, I don't know, opening a restaurant or starting a retail store or something like that. But this book is like mobile makeup artist,
Right.
virtual party planner.
Expat consultant.
Yeah, like stuff that I would never even have thought of.
Yeah. It really gets your creative juices flowing.
It does. And I think that's what's so exciting about it. It's like, it's not just about, the traditional ways of doing things. It's about finding these like little niches and really, tapping into what people need and what people want.
Yeah, and I think what's cool too is that the book is organized by skill categories. So,
Interesting.
if you're like, oh, I'm really good at administrative tasks or I'm really creative, you can kind of jump to that section and see
Wow.
what ideas resonate with you.
So like if I'm good at, artsy crafts, I could start like an Etsy shop or something.
Exactly. Or, if you're good with technology, you could offer like website design services
Right.
or, tech support.
Okay, so it's really about looking at what you already do well and seeing if you can monetize it.
Yeah. And I think it also encourages you to kind of think about how you can combine different skills.
Yeah.
Like maybe you're good at photography and you also love to travel well.
Right.
Maybe you could start a tour guide business where you offer like photography tours.
Right. Okay. So it's not just about like I'm good at this one thing. It's about like how can I combine these
Mhm.
these different things that I enjoy doing.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say I've got my skills. I've kind of figured out maybe what I'm good at. Maybe I've even got an idea or two swirling around in my head. Where do platforms fit into all of this?
Hmm.
When we talk about like Kindle publishing and YouTube and online courses and all that stuff,
Yeah.
where does that come in?
So platforms are really like your virtual storefront. It's where you can showcase your talents and connect with potential customers.
Okay, so I mean, I guess when I think of those platforms, I think of more like, entertainment or staying connected with friends. But you're saying that these can actually be really powerful tools for business.
Yeah, absolutely. They've really, I think, leveled the playing field,
Mhm.
for anybody who has a passion, an internet connection, and a desire to really build a global audience. You
Hmm.
know, you think about like Kindle publishing, for example, that's given aspiring authors a way to bypass the traditional publishing gatekeepers and get their work directly in the hands of readers.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
So
that's
it's
incredible.
pretty powerful stuff.
So I don't have to be like a Czech genius or anything to be able to
Yeah.
leverage these platforms for business.
No, and one of the things that this book really emphasizes is that you don't have to be an expert in everything. You know, there's so many resources and tutorials available. You can figure out the technical stuff.
Yeah.
It's more about focusing on your unique skills and how you can use those platforms to amplify your reach.
Okay, so I've got my niche. I've got maybe a rough business plan. I'm starting to see how platforms can play a role.
Mm-hmm.
What about the money?
Mm-hmm.
Do we need like a ton of cash to get started?
That's a common misconception, you know. One of the really beautiful things about a lot of these home-based business ideas is that they are relatively low cost to start.
Okay.
You can bootstrap your way to success.
Okay, so wait, does that mean I'm going to be like pulling myself up by my shoelaces or?
It's a metaphor. Bootstrapping just basically means, you know, starting with minimal financial resources.
Okay.
Relying on your own ingenuity and hustle to get things off the ground.
Okay.
And the book is full of really inspiring examples of people who've done just that.
So instead of going out and like getting a huge loan or looking for investors, it's like start small, see what you can do with what you've got,
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to, you know, working smarter, not harder.
right?
It's not just about, you know, putting in the hours. It's about maximizing the effort that you're putting in.
Okay, so that makes sense. But even with a great idea, even if I've got, some startup money or I'm bootstrapping it or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I still need customers, right? How do I get people excited about my business?
Yeah, that's where marketing comes in.
Okay.
This is where a lot of people, I think, get really stuck.
Yeah.
They have a fantastic product or service, but they don't know how to get the word out.
I think, for me, marketing has always felt a bit like overwhelming,
Yeah,
because it's like social media and SEO and email lists and all that.
it's a lot.
It's a lot to juggle, yeah?
Yeah, but the book does a really good job of breaking it down into manageable steps.
Okay.
And emphasizing that it doesn't have to be expensive or complicated.
Right.
You know, it's really about building relationships, sharing your expertise, and creating a buzz around your brand.
Okay, so it's not just like, hitting people over the head with a bunch of ads. It's like
Right.
more about having a conversation and like engaging with them authentically.
Yeah, think of it as a conversation, not a sales pitch.
Okay, I like that.
And the book talks about, you know, finding creative ways to market your business, whether it's through collaborations contests or simply sharing your passion with the world.
So it's really about like being genuine
Yeah.
and letting your enthusiasm show.
Absolutely. And I think that that's contagious, you know, when people see that you're really excited about something.
Yeah.
It makes them want to learn more.
So we've talked about platforms, we've talked about bootstrapping, we've talked about marketing. Is there anything else that we need to consider before we take this entrepreneurial plunge?
One thing that I think often gets overlooked is the importance of mindset.
Mhm.
You know, it's not enough to just have a great idea and a solid plan.
Right.
You also need the right mindset to weather the ups and downs of entrepreneurship.
Mindset. So you're talking like think positive thoughts and like manifest success, or like what do you?
It's a little bit more than that. It's
Yeah.
really about, you know, developing resilience, embracing challenges as opportunities for growth,
Okay.
and having the grit to keep going even when things get tough, because they will.
Yeah. I mean, it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows when you're starting a business.
Right, exactly. And that's where, you know, having a strong mindset can really make all the difference.
Okay.
And the book encourages you to reframe your perspective, you know, see failure not as an ending, but as a learning experience.
So it's not about giving up when things get tough. It's about like, how can I use this
Yeah.
to keep going?
Exactly. How can I learn from this?
Okay.
How can I grow from this? And one of the best ways to cultivate a really resilient mindset is to surround yourself with a supportive community.
So like finding my tribe of, fellow entrepreneurs who get it.
Exactly. You know, people who have been there, done that,
Yeah.
and can offer, you know, advice and support and just a shoulder to cry on when you need it.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely feeling a lot more confident about this whole entrepreneurial thing.
Good.
But I'll be honest with you. There's one like nagging fear that I still have.
Okay, what's that?
What if I fail?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if I put my heart and soul into this business and it just doesn't work out?
Yeah, that's a valid fear, and I think it's something that a lot of people struggle with, but the book reminds us that even the most successful entrepreneurs have faced, setbacks and failures along the way.
Hmm.
It's part of the journey.
Right.
Um, and I think what separates the people who succeed from the people who don't
Okay.
is their ability to bounce back from adversity.
So it's not about like trying to avoid failure. It's about like
No.
learning from it.
Yeah, using it as a stepping stone to something even greater.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Yeah,
I'm starting to see that, failure isn't the enemy. It's actually a valuable teacher.
exactly. And one of the most powerful things you can do is shift your perspective,
Okay.
from what if I fail to what if I succeed?
Oh, I like that.
You know?
So instead of focusing on the fear, I'm focusing on
Yeah, the
the
excitement
excitement and the possibility.
and the possibilities that
Uh,
come with pursuing your dream.
okay. I'm feeling so inspired right now. I'm ready to like dust off my dream journal and, brainstorm some business ideas and like start taking action.
I love that.
But before I get ahead of myself, is there anything else that we should cover from this book?
Hmm. I think, one thing that we haven't really touched on is the importance of self-care.
Oh,
Starting a business, it can be such an all-consuming endeavor,
yeah.
but it's so crucial to prioritize your own well-being.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle and, forget to
Yeah,
take care of yourself.
exactly. The book really emphasizes setting boundaries, making sure you're scheduling time for relaxation, making sure you're not sacrificing your health for the sake of the business.
So it's not just about working smart, it's also about living smart.
Yeah, exactly. And finding that balance, between passion and practicality.
Hmm.
You can be incredibly passionate about your business,
Right.
but you also need to be realistic about the demands it's going to place on your time and energy.
So how do we strike that balance?
Well, the book encourages you to really be mindful of your own limits,
Okay.
um, and to delegate tasks when possible,
Okay.
and to build a support system, both personally and professionally.
Right. Having that network of people that you can lean on
Mm-hmm.
can really make all the difference when you're feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay, so we've talked about mindset, self-care support systems. I feel like we've covered all the bases.
I think so.
Any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are feeling inspired to take the leap and start their own business?
I think the most important thing is just to start.
Uh-huh.
Don't let fear or perfectionism hold you back.
Right.
Take that first step, no matter how small it is, and keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step or something like that.
Exactly. And remember that, every successful entrepreneur started somewhere. They had an idea they believed in, and they took action. So if they can do it, you can do it too.
I am feeling so energized after this deep dive. I'm ready to, like I said, dust off my dream journal, brainstorm some ideas, and get moving.
That's awesome. And we're here to cheer you on every step of the way.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this whirlwind tour of 597 business ideas you can start from home.
Yeah, this has been fun.
We hope you found it inspiring and empowering, and maybe you've got a business idea or two brewing in your own mind now.
And remember that the biggest obstacle to starting a business is often not a lack of ideas, but that fear of trying.
Right.
So go out there, make your dreams a reality.
Yes. That's a wrap, folks. Until next time, happy hustling.